Hello students, I hope you are ready for your class. Today we are going to read a poem that is very different in its approach. Many times I've taught you that a poem has a lyrical meaning and a metaphorical meaning. This one, on the other hand, is more to do with sarcasm, irony. First, we'll look at these pictures, then we'll begin with the poem. Take a look at this picture. This tree has been so painfully uprooted. So, this tree must have given shade to many, it must be a house to many birds, it must have given fruits and flowers, so many things to people. But still, we people, the thankless human being, we uproot trees like that. Can you imagine something like this happening to us? Will it not be painful? Should we really be doing this to the trees? Take a look at this picture. This tree must have grown for so many years. It must have grown inside the earth. It must have prospered. But one fine day, it was uprooted. Isn't it really terrible? Do you agree? And this is what? Mass killing of trees. We have uprooted trees by millions so far to find place for ourselves to build industries, houses, roads, so many things. But do we ever feel the pain of a tree? Do we ever understand that even the tree has life? That it also feels pain? That is what the poem is about. We are going to read the poem on Killing a Tree by Jeev Patel. In this poem here, Jeev Patel, who is an author, writer of Indian origin, is not telling you how to really kill a tree. But he's trying to implore your feelings as a human, how you feel when a tree is killed. Do you even think at that perspective that a tree is being killed? You do not associate killing with trees. You just cut a tree, you chop a tree and you feel no emotion. That is why the title, On Killing a Tree, because he wants you to realize that when you are cutting a tree, you are killing a life. You're taking the life out of a tree. Let's read a little bit about the poet first. Jeev Patel is an Indian poet, playwright, painter, as well as a practicing physician doctor based in Mumbai. Patel belongs to a group of writers who have subscribed themselves to the Green Movement, which is involved in an effort to protect the environment. So what is a green movement? People who are aware about the environment, who are concerned about the environment, who want to protect the environment. Now, since he is a poet, he tries to protect the environment by writing about it. By writing and creating awareness, by telling people like you and me that how we are killing and taking out life from a tree. The poem on killing a tree is one of the poems from Jeev Patel's poetry collection named Poems, which was published in 1966. The poem is set on a very visual plane. The descriptions are vivid and the mood is sad. So it's got lots of imagery, descriptive. It is very vivid, but the mood is sad because the poet is upset and he wants you to feel the pain of the tree. There also hangs a sense of darkness upon the poem. The pain felt by the trees as imagined by Patel dominates the mood of the poem. So it describes the pain of the trees. The title. Let's understand the title. The title of the poem is simple and appropriate as it contains the major concern of the poet, merciless felling of trees. We don't feel any mercy for the trees. We don't even consider them living. We do not consider them having life. It indicates appropriately that the poem is about the process of killing a tree. The entire poem explains the view that killing a tree is not simple, short or easy process. So now he is going to implore you. When we'll read the poem, you'll see how he is trying to touch the deep chords of your heart. He's trying to implore the mankind in you with the use of the words that he has done in the poem. Trees have tremendous strength and great instinct for survival. Let's read. It takes much time to kill a tree. Not a simple jab of the knife will do it. It has grown, slowly consuming the earth, rising out of it, feeding upon its crust, absorbing years of sunlight, air, water, and out of its leprous hide, sprouting leaves. You see, there is no rhyming scheme in the poem as such, because tree, knife, grow, earth, none of the words at the end of each line rhyme. So you can clearly state that the poem is in free verse. As I've mentioned in my previous videos also, whenever the poet is trying to strike a conversation with you, whenever he's trying to start a dialogue with the reader, the poem is free verse. It does not have a rhyming scheme. So this poem also does not have a rhyming scheme. Let's understand what he's trying to say. It takes much time to kill a tree. He says if you just cut the tree and you think you've killed it, you're not doing a good job. A simple jab. A jab is what? Hitting something forcefully with lots of power. So he says a simple jab of knife will not kill the tree. Why it will not kill? Because the tree has slowly grown using the minerals of the earth. It has risen out of the earth, feeding on the earth's crust, absorbing years of sunlight, air and water. So it has had all those nutrients for these many years, and you think one jab you're going to kill the tree? No, you cannot. Because from its leprous hide, leprous is what? Unbroken surface, uneven. From its uneven surface, hide is skin. So the outer bark of the tree is compared to leprous hide. So the skin of the tree, hide is the skin of the tree which is uneven and rugged. From that also, leaves will sprout. So what is the poet telling you? Saying that you don't know how strong the tree is. It's consumed so many elements from the earth and nature that your one jab is not going to kill the tree. Even if you jab it, from its leprous hide, leaves will continuously sprout. Leprous hide, bark of the tree. Leprous because the surface of a bark is disfigured and irregular. Hide means skin, which is the bark of the tree again. Stanza 2. So now the poet is saying one hack. You are not doing a good job. So he says what? He said, so hack and chop, but this alone won't do it. Not so much pain will do it. The bleeding bark will heal, and from close to the ground will rise curled green twigs, miniature boughs, which if unchecked will expand to form a size. So the poet is being sarcastic. He's not really telling you how you should cut a tree. He's being sarcastic. He's telling you your purpose is to kill a tree. You think you can kill a tree that has consumed the earth. He's saying so hacking and chopping will not do it. If you think you'll chop it and hack it, you'll kill the tree. No, it will cause pain to the tree. The bark is going to bleed. Bleeding bark, you see alliteration there, burr and burr sound. You also see transferred epithet here because bleeding is not something that the bark does. Bleeding is for humans. We bleed. But the poet is trying to tell you that even the tree's bark bleeds just like us humans. It will heal. So he's saying if you cut and chop a tree, it will heal again. The tree will recover from the pain. The bleeding bark will also heal. And even if you've cut the tree from the ground, near the roots of the tree, small little twigs will come. Miniature boughs. What are boughs? Miniature is very small. Boughs are branches. Miniature branches will still come from the trees. And if you don't check it again, your purpose is to kill, right? So if you don't check it again, it will still come back to its former size. So the poet is imploring you, how far will you go to kill a tree? Now he's telling you in this stanza how you can really kill a tree. No, if you really want to kill a tree, the root is to be pulled out of the anchoring earth. It is to be roped, tied and pulled out, snapped out or pulled out entirely, out from the earth cave and the strength of the tree exposed. The source, white and wet, the most sensitive hidden for years inside the earth. He says if you really have that purpose and if you're so inclined and if you really have so much of power in you that you've not felt anything in the previous two stanzas and you still want to kill a tree. So in the previous two stanzas, he's trying to tell you that the tree has life, it feels pain, it bleeds like you, it has grown with the help of nature, all that he established. But still if you want to kill a tree, he's saying the right way is to take the roots out. Because if you want to end that life, the life-giving tree, You have to take the root out because the earth is anchoring it. What is an anchor? Anchor is in the ship. You put it down into the bottom of the ocean to hold the ship steady. So the earth is the anchor here. The roots are inside the earth and the tree is anchored to the earth. So if you want to kill that tree, you have to pull it out entirely. You have to take out the entire roots from the earth's cave. The earth has developed like a cave in which the roots have grown. You have to expose the strength of the tree. What is the strength of the tree? The roots. So you have to take out those roots. The source of nutrients for the tree. Again the roots. So the strength of the tree, the source, all of this is roots. So last 3 lines, strength, source, most sensitive, hidden part, all of this is roots of the tree. Okay. So he says you have to take out that source which is white and wet. You see, when the roots are entirely exposed, the bottom part of the roots is white and wet because it is taking water and nutrients for the tree. It is also the most sensitive and hidden part. So he says you have to take those roots out and put them in the sun and let them rot. Only then you are killing a tree. So is he really teaching you the method of killing a tree? No. He's being sarcastic. He's really trying to implore you that you feel no pain at all. Like you have pained the tree, you have cut it, you've hacked it, you've chopped it. Still it is growing, so what do? You want to pull it out entirely then? If that is the kind of human you are, right? Then the matter of scorching and choking in sun and air, browning, hardening, twisting, withering, and then it is done. So he says, now since you've taken out the root, you have to scorch and choke it. Scorch is burn and give it no nutrients. In the sun and air, you have to leave that root so that it becomes brown, it becomes hard, it becomes twisted, and it is withered, and then your purpose is done. Finally, then you have killed the tree. You have made the roots lifeless. You have made the source of the tree, the nutrient providing source, you have killed that. Then you have killed a tree. So he's saying you have finally managed to weaken the tree. I hope you understood the poem well. The poet obviously does not want you to learn how to kill a tree. What he wants you to be more human and feel the pain that the trees feel and realize how important they are and never ever kill a tree. That is what he wants to tell you. Let's read the message that the poem conveys. He's trying to tell us that trees are living beings just like any other form of life. They have strong survival instincts and can withstand any crisis. So if you do want to kill them, it's not easy, for they have a never say die attitude. They have a very good attitude towards life. They will regrow. Every time they are attacked, injured or scraped, they heal themselves and regain their glory. However, if you uproot them and let them leave them in the air and sun, they die. We human beings must live just as trees do. So first message is we should not kill trees. Second is we should learn these things from the tree. That if we are hurt and if we are pained, we should be able to recover from that and we should be able to grow from that just like trees grow. Rhyming scheme, as I already mentioned, the poem is written in free verse. There is no rhyming scheme. There are lots of metaphors used. First, on killing a tree, killing itself is a literary device because you do not really kill a tree. Then I told you bleeding bark, the alliteration that has been used, and many imagery has been used to paint a picture in front of you where the poet has described in the third stanza how you will take out the root from the tree, from the earth. So these are the 4 literary devices that have been used. No rhyming scheme, metaphor, alliteration and imagery. I hope you all have understood the poem well, and we'll discuss the question answers and your doubts in the group. Thank you, children.